Hello. Is this thing working? It's been a day. It's been a day. Hopefully this is all working and playing ball now. I've had some technical issues getting set up today. Just for a change. Just check the stream page. Looks like it's working. I think. It is working. People are talking. Okay. Oh, nightmare getting set up today. Had the old OBS wanted to update, and we all know how much my computer loves when OBS wants to update. Doesn't. Hi Ash, Sarah, Mika, Susan, Dawn, Lisa. Oh, how are we, guys? It's a bit chilly today. It's a bit chilly. My hands are cold. I might have to put the fire on in a minute. And I've woken up with a dodgy throat as well. Amber, long time no see. How dost thou? Okay. Let's get straight on with it today, shall we? Because fed up with arsing about with stuff today. I bought this. Hey Meg. I bought this. It's not a new book. It's been out for a while. And I was wanting to get it before, and a couple of other people had got it and said, "Oh, it's not very good. It's basic." Da da da. I mean basic as in, excuse me. I mean basic as in simple, not basic as in, you know, whatever the American thing means. It's very simplified. It's this, it's that. But you know me and books, and I like the cover, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it. Because it was pretty cheap at the moment. And I have to say, yes, it is very simplified. However, I think if you're new to sewing and crafting and things like that, and you're witchily inclined, and you want a few little mini projects just to get used to hand sewing and things like that, and putting intention. Maddie, put bone down. It's gross. Putting intention into your work and all that kind of stuff, and you're new to it and you want to try it out. This is a good book. Yes, it is simple. Yes, it is basic. But yeah, we're not talking Ugg boots. No, we're not talking Ugg boots basic. We're talking simple basic. For someone who has not much experience in sewing, but is willing to learn, or maybe wants to just know how to do some simple hand sewing, but wants some fun projects to work on. Because, you know, you tend to think of hand sewing, you immediately think, oh, I should probably hem that pair of trousers that fell apart 2 years ago and I still haven't done. You know, that's what you tend to think of when you think of hand sewing. And then you look at projects online and it's all like, make a pin cushion. You're like, I don't have any pins. Why do I need a pin cushion? You know, this is very stuff that you would use. I'm pretty happy to recommend this book. I think Rachel's done a really good job, and I don't actually know Rachel Henderson. I've seen her around. I've followed her on Instagram, and I think she's got a YouTube channel, which if I can find it, I will link it. But I've linked the book down below. It's a really nice book to look at. There's Rachel. Most people recognise her because of that hair. But it's got all sorts of bits and pieces. You know, it's got a tea-stained tarot cloth. Well, tea staining is something that you do in junk journaling. If you can tea stain a bit of cloth, then you can tea stain paper. You know, you just got to work out how long to dry it for and how to dry it. Door charms, cross-stitch projects, a little dream pillow. absolutely guarantee that's going to be fill it with lavender and stuff and stick a amethyst in it. A pin cushion that looks like a spider. Now there's a pin cushion that you'd want to make. But this is all kind of, you know, little bits and bobs that you actually would use. There's one here that's a wrap for a teapot. Well, you know, if you can learn to work the measurements or figure out the measurements for wrapping around, say, a coffee cup, you can use the same pattern, just change the size. And you've got a nice little holder for your coffee cup. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I think people expected it to be very advanced or something, and it's, you know, most hand sewing is not very advanced. Most sewing is not very advanced. Welted pockets aside, and gathered armholes, because nobody likes those. But, you know, most hand sewing is just in, out, tie a knot. And all you've got to do is work out which bit of fabric to put with which bit of fabric. But, you know, you want your tarot bags. I'm not going to show you the whole book, but there's some projects in here that if you want to get out your sewing machine, you could. A little leather thing for your scissors. What a great way, if you want to see if it would be possible to stitch your own leather notebook cover, what a great way to try it out, because you can go on eBay and get samples of different thicknesses of leather. In fact, most leather sellers, if you say to them, can I pay you £5 and can you send me little samples of leather, like sort of 10 centimetres by 2 centimetres or 3 centimetres or whatever, or 10 by 10 samples or something, they'll send you a pile of them with written on the back exactly what it is. You could try lots of these, make a pair for all your scissors. You could even make pen holders. I mean, something like that would work for something like a dip pen. Try different things, see how it works, see how you need to pierce the leather, see what sort of, you know, figure out what size thimble you need, because you need a thimble. And by the time you've made a couple of these, you'll have an idea of whether you would be able to make your own custom notebook. So I think that's a great idea. She talks about different things that you need to know, like how to stabilise a hem and using interfacing and what interfacing is. And she's got a section on fabric and sewing seams and different types of zigzag stitch, basic stitches, all the basic hand sewing stitches. So, you know, basting, whip stitch, felling, back stitch, cross stitch, herringbone, trimming seams, how to clip a corner, all the basics that you could want for hand sewing. It's fabulous. Hi, Cody. Hi, Rish. I think it's a really good beginner's sewing book. You know, even simple things like this, embroidering a sigil. If you like sewing and you're witchily inclined, why not? And then she talks about elements and how to include them in your work, drawing sigils. She teaches you how to create a sigil and then how to embroider it, or how to use runes and alphabets. She's got different seasons and stuff. So this is all about correspondences and things. Tools. Cleansing and charging your sewing tools. There's even a template here for creating a sewing book of shadows page. I may or may not already have a sewing book, so I may or may not start a bit of keeping this kind of stuff for my sewing projects. I've got a spare notebook in here as it happens, so I might start doing that for my witchy sewing projects. A sewing basket as an altar. Using a sewing basket as an altar, you know, repurposing your tools. I think it's a great little book. I don't understand why people were so, well, that's not very good, it's a bit basic. I know all this, you know. Well, good for you. What to do when it's not coming together. No, if you follow Kathy Hay, You know the rule. There's only 2 rules. If it's not working, walk away, and no sleeves after 11 p.m. Them's the rules. Doing these little stitch mats, I mean, you could do these by hand, but she actually shows you how to do them, how to turn it into a bowl using a sewing machine. Hi, Fiona. I think it's a great little book. All of you people, all of the people in my class, we're currently doing quilting and we're doing hand sewing, hybrid machine sewing. So we're doing basic square quilting where you do a strip at a time and we're hand sewing the strips together so that we can do it while we're watching a film or whatever. And then once we got a strip, we sew 2 strips together on the sewing machine to reinforce the seams. So we're doing it like that, which is kind of a hybrid. You know, everything doesn't have to be perfect. You can just do it as you go. Some people are embroidering things. Some people are doing more advanced patterns. Val, is doing that log cabin one. You know, the squares where they overlap like that and there's a square in the middle. Oh my God, it's so fantastic, but it's such a complicated pattern and she's doing amazing with it. It looks fabulous. But, you know, all of the people in the class who are like, oof, I've never picked up a sewing needle. I don't think I can do a quilt. Make yourself a little spider pin cushion. Oh, I don't know if I like sewing. Well, make yourself a little spider pin cushion. If nothing else, you've got a decorative little spider. Give him little googly legs. Little googly eyes. If you don't want to use him as a pin cushion, you can stick him on your altar or by your bedside. Make him flat with a flat with a, what's it called? This stuff. Cork coaster in the middle. So if you've got, this is, oh, that needs cleaning. This is my Hogwarts coaster. But if you've got an old one of these, that you don't like the top or the top is destroyed, stick that inside and turn him into a little coffee cup holder. Or coffee cup thing. Get it? This book is fabulous for beginners. I'm even excited to try some of them because I like these little projects. Currently, I've got an Edwardian skirt project that I'm trying to cut the material out for. I've got a pirate shirt project that I'm sewing by hand. I'm just waiting for some more silk fat thread to arrive. And I've got 2 quilting projects on the go. One of which is a machine quilting project, and it's a small one. It's just a metre square one. And the other one is quite big, and it's hand sewn. So I've got 4 big projects on the go. And sometimes you just want to do something that you can knock up in a couple of hours and go, ta-da! I think this is fabulous for people who just want to do stuff but don't want to make it complicated. Look, this is the housewife, the hussif that we were talking about in class the other week. She's called a travel sewing kit, obviously, is the modern term for it, but traditionally it's called a hussif or a housewife. And it's just a little thing made out of felt with a couple of pockets and some elastic to put your little bits and pieces in. Am I watching Bernadette Banner? I've been watching Bernadette Banner since not exactly day 1, but I think pretty much month 2. I love Bernadette. I think she's fabulous. I also watch... Actually, I'll put a list down below after the session. I should have thought of doing that. I'll put a list down below to all the people that I watch. Bernadette Banner, Kathy Hay, Costuming Drama, Noelle, Abby Cox. Abby Cox is brilliant. Rachel Makesy. Rachel Makesy doesn't do the kind of stuff that I'm into. She's kind of vintage. She dresses vintage, and she has vintage style, and she makes a few of her own things, and she does a lot of sewing. But she's more of a vlog channel, whereas Bernadette is more sitting down and showing you what she's making, kind of thing. Kathy Hay doesn't actually do sewing projects. She does motivational videos. But if you're ever at a point where you're just like, you're in the middle of a project and you're just losing the will to live, you have to go and watch Kathy Hay, because she will just immediately pick you up and make you feel better about yourself. There's a whole list of people that I follow that are just absolutely brilliant. I just found another one the other day that Morgan Donner. I love Morgan Donner. Morgan Donner did a video on putting pockets in every single item of clothing she owns, and I was like, sold. But I think this is a great book, whether you're beginners or not. Look, a hooded cape. Now, I'm sorry, but a cape, easy. Anybody can take a pair of mummy's curtains, put in a couple of darts, hem the bottom, add a drawstring, and you're done. But a hooded cape, my goodness. Tok Custom, I'm not familiar with that one. Yeah, if you've got people you follow, put them in the chat, especially if you're a mod. Put your links in the chat, because I'm perfectly happy for you to shout out, because I'm always looking for new people to watch. Honestly, because I teach book crafts and art, and I have a few people that I really like watching making art, mostly I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to watch people making art right now. I want to watch other stuff. I want to watch people excited about other things. So I watch a lot of sewing videos, because it gets me excited for doing mine. But anybody who's tried to make a cape or a hoodie or anything like that that involves having a hood, you will know how difficult it is to figure out how in the heck you're supposed to make the shape of a hood out of a flat piece of fabric. It takes ages to figure it out. And then once you've made the hood, you've got to kind of fit it into the cape, and that's not easy either. And she's got all the information here, exactly how to do it. Look. It's only a basic cloak. I mean, it's not going to win any fashion awards, but if you want to have a go at it and just try it out and see if you are able to make it. Once you've made a simple one that's boxy and doesn't work right, you've got the ability to say, okay, well, if I do this again, next time, instead of cutting the hood square, I'll cut it rounded so that I won't have that pointy bit on the back. Or, oh, I'd prefer it if it was a bit looser, so maybe I'll cut it so it's longer, or so the top goes up like that, so it holds down and it flows around my face. You know, you can make that sort of stuff yourself once you've had a go at doing it. I have never watched Tok Custom. I do have a bit of an issue with people's voices. There are a few people that I can't watch. I wish I could. There's a really lovely girl, Katarina, is it something? I can never remember her name. It's a Polish sounding name. They call her Meme Mum. Lovely girl. Cannot stand her voice. Really just can't handle it. So I can't watch her videos. But I'm always up for trying new videos. She is really lovely, and she does do some lovely stuff, and I wish I could. I've sat and watched some of her unboxing videos where she's bought vintage clothes and stuff and just looked at them. You know, I turn the sound off, but there's just I have Asperger's. There's just something about some people's voices that I can't listen to them, and sadly she's one of them. There's also Pet Zach. He's become really well known because he did a Vogue shoot. Pinsent something. I know him as Zach. Can't remember his name. But yeah, I got into watching all the when they did the COVID thing. Oh, Constance, the girl who does the costume convention. They did it online this year, and I'm wading my way through all the videos because it's just so interesting. Look, a dream pillow. Here we go. Glory seeds, cup of lavender. Oh, no amethyst. Okay, I stand corrected. Usually there'd be an amethyst in there somewhere. I would pin an amethyst to it or something. A little sit mat. Look, a little woven sit mat out of old t-shirts. Who doesn't have loads of old t-shirts that they can't reuse. And this is a great one for kids as well, because you learn to plait stuff. Learning to plait things is a really good skill, even if you don't have long hair. So yeah, this is fabulous. A little key ring to put your, well, a USB, that shows how old the book is. Notebook covers. Tarot bags. All sorts of different ways of doing one. So you've got one here that's like a pillow. She's got one in here that's a drawstring. She's got a circular one. A little handbag type thing. And it gets gradually more difficult as you go along. So there's things that you have to turn inside out and, you know, stuff like that. I think there's patterns and stuff at the back, if I remember correctly. Yeah, here's all the patterns and stuff. So you literally, this is your altar cloth with your pentacle. Oh, I can't draw a pentacle. Well, that's okay. Here's your pattern. A poppet. Make a poppet. Interior and exterior. Oh, there's the things for the spider pin cushion. Here's the poppets. The travel sewing kit. Look, it's even got... You could put lip balm or whatever, yeah. You could even put, just make it as it is, put a little press stud inside it and use it for memory cards. Because those are much smaller. So you'd have room to put a press stud in it. Hi, Pammy. Pammy, is it you I'm supposed to be sending the things to? I haven't had a chance to get out to the post office yet. I've got to do it on Friday. If it's you. I can't remember if it's you or the other Pammy. It's been a week. Oh, a sleep mask. Oh, awesome. I need one of those. A little foraging bag. There's all sorts of stuff in here. And it's all got all the patterns and things. And what doesn't have a pattern doesn't need one. It's like, cut a square, sew it in half. I would highly recommend this to not only beginner witches who can sew, because it will bring your two crafts together. It's not you, it's the other Pammy then. It's Pammy with an M, not Pammy with a H. This is good for beginner witches who can sew, or beginner sewers who know how to do witchy stuff, or are interested in witchy stuff, or beginners of both. It even tells you what a fat quarter is and how to measure it, and all that sort of stuff, which... It took me ages to find that information. Highly recommend it. I think it's a really good book. I'm going to make some projects out of this. We might even do some in class. In other news, there is a link down below, by the way, to this in my Amazon shop. Stay. In other news... Got my latest history magazine. This one's all about Vikings, apparently. Or not all about Vikings, but the main thing is about Vikings, and there's some medieval stuff and China. I got this on a cheap sort of 5 issues for £5 deal. I've never had it before. I don't think I'll bother keeping it, but... Oh, cute pupper. Sensitive tummy loves chicken. Oh, I know some puppy like that. Oh, that's some free food. We might try that. Trial food. It's not free food, but... What's that? Guide dogs for Christmas. Subscriptions. Not on that one. So, yeah, I don't think I'll bother keeping this, but, you know, it's interesting to... Ooh, Regency era stuff. It's interesting to have some bits and pieces to cut out, you know, like these sort of things for collage material, but I don't think I'd bother getting it again. There's like one article in each one that I read, and then the rest of it's just collage fodder, so... I think you have to be a bit more... generally into history than this. I'm not generally into history. I'm very much stuck in the late Victorian, late Victorian Edwardian era. Was it after 1860 or before the First World War? I'm in. It was 1800 to 1860. I might be in. It kind of depends, but for the most part, that's it. I got some more sewing fabric. Unfortunately, this is not cotton. I thought it was cotton, but it's not. It's satin. And it feels plasticky. It's foiled. And it feels... I don't like it. Oh, Pam, thank you so much for the $5. That's very kind of you. So you could have put that $5 towards your book. Silly girl. I do need coffee. I always need coffee. And I've got my car back now, so I can go and get coffee. You're a history buff. Oh, I'll shove these in your box then, what's left of them, and you can read the articles. Yeah, if it didn't happen in ancient Rome, there's basically this classical history, and then there's the 1800s to the 1920s. And other than that, I'm really not interested. And I only like the 1800s to the 1920s because of all the crazy Victorian science and technology and stuff. And the fashion, obviously. I do need coffee. I always need coffee. So I'm not going to use this. This was supposed to be for my quilt. So I'm going to try and find... I think I'll repurchase what I had before that I used for my other quilt because I need some more white. But this won't go to waste, even though it's nasty plastic fabric and I do not want. I will use it for, I need to line my bag. I bought a Society 6 bag from By Bun's shop, sorry, I got an itch, 3-4 years ago. And the bag itself is fantastic. It's got no seam ripping. I use it all the time, and it's not showing any signs of wear and tear on the outside or anything. But the inside is fleecy. And I don't like the fleecy bits because they're just pilling everywhere. And I kind of want to put a zip on it. So I would probably use this for the inside of that because it's suitably gothic, but it's not black. And I've been avoiding doing the inside because all I had was black fabric. And if, as any of you know, if you have a black bag with black stuff and black fabric on the inside, you can't find anything. So, yeah, I might use this to line, because it would make a good lining fabric. It was cheap anyway. It was from eBay. It was from Oh So Crafty on eBay. It's also ohsocrafty.co.uk. They're at email. They're in Stourport Road in DY. What's that, Derby? Yeah, it's Derby. So, yeah, there you go. You get loyalty points, apparently. I've never used them before, but it arrived quickly. No complaints. Seems to be fine. Rome bores you because it's so over-adored. Ah, well, you see, when you can speak Latin, it's not so bad. That's the thing. I actually studied classical history. It wasn't just, here's what the Romans did for us. They built straight roads. Oh, Dudley, is it? Oh, Dudley. Dudley. DY is Dudley. Wolverhampton way. Still the Midlands. It's close enough. It's not that far away. I also bought, because a few people have mentioned it, I said I wanted to make a witchy hat. You know, like a conical hat. But most options involve felting. And I can't do felting because I'm allergic to wool. I can do at most 50% blend. And you can't really felt 50% blend. It has to be at least 80% to felt it. So I want to make a conical hat, but getting the right material is a bit tricky. So in the meantime, several people have said, well, why don't you buy one of those hats off eBay that's like basically felted, but it's not going to be proper felted. It's going to be like fleecy. There's no way it's going to be 100% wool because they're like $1.99. So I picked one up, and guess what? It doesn't look anything like the picture. Well, that's not true. It does look a lot like the picture. It looks exactly like the picture shape-wise. But it's not felted. It's made of canvas. It's got a wire brim. Very thin wire, but it's a wire brim nonetheless. So you can change the shape of the brim. You can make it wibbly, or you can make it whatever you want. The cone is not really a cone, it's like a pixie hat, but it's the kind of thing that you could wear every day without people going, oh no, this is witch. Well, probably not me, because I look like one without all the hats and everything, but I get that without having a hat on, so I would probably get it. But because it's canvas, although it's seamed here, it's actually really nicely made as well. It's made in pieces. So it's actually woven into this shape. It's stiff. There's no metal in this, but the shape of it stiffens it to make it stand up anyway. So you don't need to stuff it or anything. And although this is not very wide, it's a standard ladies, which is 57. And because of my big head and my big hair, I need a 60 to 62. It's not quite big enough. However, because it's canvas, it will stretch. So if I steam this and stretch it on, I mean, you can see it, you have to ease it on, but it's stretching on, see? If I steam this and then put it on and let it dry, it should stretch to my head size. So yay, conical hat, without having to actually make one. That'll do until I actually get round to making one, because I've been saying I was going to make one for like, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It was really cheap. Got it on eBay. Took a week to arrive. Ta-da! I'm actually happier with it that it's kind of a knitted canvas. I mean, it's machined, obviously, but it's like a knitted canvas. You can see it's like chain stitch almost. It's really cool. I like it. Easy to decorate because you can just like whip stitch some flowers onto it if you want to, or some ribbon or whatever for whatever decoration you want. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool. And it is actually quite tall. Like if I do that, that's about, yeah, if you put your hand up as if you were doing YMCA, right? And then you bend your arm in, that's where the top of the hat is. So I'm pretty happy with that. I like it. Burlap, is that what it's called? It could be. Let me zoom in and focus it, because it doesn't focus very well, does it? Let me. There we go. Can you see how it's like chain stitch almost? It's a knitted canvas fabric, but it feels really hard. But it's exactly what you need. I mean, I don't think it would be waterproof or anything like that. If you wanted it to be waterproof, you'd probably have to line it and then Scotch guard it and then waterproof spray it and re-spray it every time it got wet. But for indoor use, just as an altar hat, perfectly fine. I mean, it doesn't go over my head yet, but I can work with that. You could even, I mean, if you needed to let it out a little bit, you could even cut a little slit up the seam and just put in a dart or a wedge just to let it out a little bit, or even a bit of elastic, a bit of wide elastic sewn across so that it stretches where you need it. You were looking at hats like that to make a mushroom. I don't know if it'd work for a mushroom because it does have a very distinct shape, but you can get hats that are rounded that don't have this bit. That would work for a mushroom, absolutely. It's burlap. When I think of burlap, it feels hairy. This isn't hairy, it's more of a knit, but it's like a canvas knit. It's really nice anyway. I'm very happy with it. So, you know, all things that come from eBay are not complete crap. So today I'm not doing anything exciting today, I'm afraid. I have to hem a dress, a top. I've been putting it off for years and years and years, and it's getting gradually worse and worse and worse. And I really need to do something about it now before it completely destroys itself, because it's going like this and it's not nice. It's yick. And yes, I probably should have ironed this before I start, but you know what? I don't iron anything. I hang things up while they're still slightly damp, and then you don't need ironing. Yeah, I've literally just got to hem this. But I was going to sit and do it by hand, so I figured I'd do it on stream and sit and chat to you while I'm doing it. Hey, Katie! So, I've got to do... I need to do something with the sleeves on this too, but it's got those really annoying 3/4 sleeves, and I hate 3/4 sleeves. Hands up if you're with me. I'm going to just tie this in a big knot here, because I only need to access the hem. I can hear all those actual seamstresses going, "What are you doing?" But, you know, I can't sit on the floor and I don't have a big desk. So you learn to do what you need to do in a very small space. And here, this is what I need to do. So, when my mum was last here, this used to be a dress, but I never liked it as a full dress. Whoops, here we go. There we go. Hi. I never liked it as a full dress because it was too tight to walk in, and I wasn't up for that. I could have put some gauze in it, but I didn't have any fabric that went with it, and this is that kind of cotton, cheap cotton fabric that fades, you can tell. And I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. I'm just going to cut it off to a length that I will actually wear it. So it now comes to mid-thigh, which I can wear over leggings or tights as a short dress, or I can wear as a long top or as a shirt. That works perfectly. So my mum actually cut the hem. I do not know about cutting hems because they're curved, you see, and I don't really know how to do that. My mum showed me how to work out how to like fold it up and take it up and then cut parallel with the original length, and that seemed to work, but I don't know anything else, so don't ask me. I'm just going to sit here and baste and stitch. I might not get back round to basting because the basting bit will require... Oh, actually, I think silk thread might be too heavy for this, so I might actually just use regular old polyester, but let's pick a nice bright colour that we'll be able to see what we are doing. I'm looking for my crinkly scissors. or something to cut it with. Where are my crinkly scissors? They have a proper name, I know they do, but... Oh, pin cushion. I made a pin cushion. Yay. Yay for me. Oh, this is my sewing box that I made. It's going to cover my face for a second because I can't open the lid any other way. But yeah, I made a sewing box, look. And I've got the lid. And I was just waiting for my quilting fabric to arrive so I could put some quilting in the top. That's arrived this morning, so I can go ahead and do that now. And then I can stitch that on, and then I've got a little pocket and things and stuff, and yay! I needed somewhere to corral the troops, as it were. But somewhere along the line, I've managed to misplace my zigzag scissors. I don't know how I've done that. Where are my zigzag scissors? And he put zigzag scissors. This is what happens when you don't put things away. Ever. You know, somebody posted something on Instagram earlier that was like, it may be that your sole purpose in life is to serve as a warning to others. That's me. I serve as a warning to others. Put your stuff away, kids. So you know where the hell it is the next time you need it. Okay. Maybe I'll just have to... I'm going to check that back box again because they really should be in here. They should be in here. There they are. Look. See? Measure twice, cut once, check twice. I have to turn that light down as well. It's a bit too bright. I don't know if it's blinding me, but it's blinding you, but it's blinding me. So let's move this up a bit because it's in my way. I can't see chat. There we go. That's better. So basically all I'm going to do with this is re-chop it off straight to get a nice even edge. And then I'm going to fold it over like that. Not that big, but like that. And baste it. And then I'm going to fell down the seam like that so it's nice and even. That's what we're doing today. So if you have a skirt that you need to take up, or rehem, or something like that, or a shirt that's too long, or whatever, go get it. sit and chat with me, and let's make this stuff. I probably really should have ironed this, but who has time? I'm just gonna cut off this bit. I can fix it as I go when I fold it up, so I really don't really care. And the way this shirt fits is so fitted, and it's kind of cut on the bias a bit. It's kind of not really the bias, it's kind of slightly off grain, so it does stretch a little bit in places, so, and not in others because it's got embroidery on it. So I'm just gonna let it sit where it sits because it's never going to sit straight anyway. Plus it's, oh, there we go. Little cuts. That works. I just want to get rid of all this nasty stuff on the edge so that I can fold it up and it won't have any bulk. That's all. I'm trying to do it reasonably evenly, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's what the hem is going to do. Done is better than perfect, and it won't sit straight on me anyway, so it doesn't have to be straight. What did I just catch? Something there gave me an electric shock. What the hell was that? Or was it a twinge in my wrist? Maybe it was a twinge in my wrist. Yeah, don't do what I do, kids. Go and iron your bits before you start cutting them up. It does make life a lot easier. But I've started now and I don't really care, so whatever. It's not like I'm leaving the house anytime soon. I think we're going into second lockdown by the sound of it here. We've got this bizarre 3-tier system in the UK now, which I don't understand. I just know that we're somewhere between yellow and red. Which is apparently not good and might mean that we go back into lockdown. But I now have a standing weekly order for food delivery and stuff, and a monthly order where they add in a few extra items for me, so I don't need to worry about it. They just turn up. They text me and go, "We're coming to deliver your order tomorrow," and I'm like, "Excellent, that'll do nicely." I don't like these scissors. I wish... See, paper scissors have holes that are the same size, so I can hold them like that and it doesn't make my hand cramp. Whereas these, you kind of have to put 2 fingers through. And because I'm using my middle finger, it makes my hand cramp. And I can't really hold it like that because then it hurts that finger. These are basically just too big. I need to get a rotary thing of this, I think. Maybe if I hold it that way, it'd be more comfortable. I need to get a rotary one, which are a little bit more expensive than the flat one I've got, but I think they're worth it. I really should have ironed this. Don't do this, kids. Don't do this. This would have been so much... I would have been finished cutting this by now if I'd ironed it. Doing a bit of a lazy man's load with it. Sorry, I'm moving it around all over the place, aren't I? It's not like you can see I'm doing anything at the moment. I'm more here to just chat and hang out because why not, right? We don't get to chat and hang out all that often these days. It's not like you can just... Well, you can go and sit in a coffee shop again now. Apparently our coffee shop's open again. But, you know, not sure I want to. Not sure I want to be around other people. So girl put mushrooms on a hat like that, so you were thinking of trying it. Oh, I thought you meant like making the actual shape of the hat a mushroom. Oh no, that would be cute. What, like embroidered mushrooms or applique or just stuffed mushroom type things? Or you could do a bit of everything, couldn't you? If anybody wants to learn to do creepy cool embroidery, check out the book Stitchcraft by Gail Partridge. Yes, I've got that linked to my Amazon shop actually. I don't have that one in physical book, but I have it on Kindle. For me, that's more of an inspiration book rather than a following the pattern kind of book. There's lots of really cute embroidery on Instagram as well. If you put in creepy embroidery in Instagram or spooky sewing, all sorts of things come up. There's also a really cute crochet book of monsters. What's it called, Risha? Amigurumi? Amigurumi. That's it, isn't it? And it's all... I've got one over there actually, but it's at the back of a shelf, so I can't reach it easily. But it's like Frankenstein and his bride and a creepy skull and all sorts of fun stuff. Little witch, obviously. a zombie. Okay. Yeah. Definitely iron this first, guys. What was I thinking? I was thinking, oh, it'll be fine. That's what I was thinking. But I didn't realise how flimsy this fabric is. It's actually very... because it's cotton fabric and it's very, very... it's got no stiffness to it at all. Whoops. My biscuit tin trying to join in the action. Go over there. You're empty. You have no business being in this conversation. Lots of embroidery on R embroidery on Reddit. I never use Reddit. Weird, isn't it? How just there's some sites you just never use. I was thinking I hate ironing. I was absolutely thinking I hate ironing. The thing is, I hate ironing less than I hate fighting with fabric. I think actually my real thoughts were, yeah, I should probably iron this, but I think the last time I used my iron, it was to dry coffee-stained paper, so it probably needs cleaning, and I doubt very much I did that before I put it away. And I can't be bothered with that, because I hate cleaning more than I hate ironing. I think that's where my brain was. It's not too bad. I mean, I'm just chopping off ratty bits off the bottom of the hem, that's all. But it would just be a little bit easier if this tuck wasn't here. So, yeah, sewing projects. I've got some beautiful wool fabric, light, thin. It's wool blend. It's 40% wool. I'm going to make that Edwardian skirt. I've been promising myself that I was going to make that Edwardian skirt. Kind of a hybrid between Bernadette Banner's Edwardian short skirt that she made, so that style, but in the length of the Victorian walking skirt she made. I think they both use the same pattern, if I'm correct. But I'm not using I don't think I'm going to use the original pattern because I'm a big girl. If you are up to a certain plus size, older patterns do tend to fit you because they were just sized in a different way. But for me, I will have to size it up anyway. So there's not really much point. I'm just going to use the ratios and figure it out. Fortunately, my mum knows how to do all this stuff, so if I get stuck, my mum will help. And then my dad will do the maths and tell me how big things have to be. Because me and maths, not friends, I'm telling you. What was it I did the other day? I think I did 6 and 6 and 12 and got... No, 6 and 6 and 8 and got... 6 and 6 and 2 and got 8. Yeah. And you could be forgiving for going, oh, well, that's just a silly mistake, isn't it? You forgot to double the 6. Yeah. But then I did it again and I got 14. And then I decided that wasn't the right answer. So I did it again and I got 8 again. Turns out 14 was the right answer. This is the problem, you see. Everybody says, oh, you know, with maths, always check your answers, double check twice, measure twice, cut once. But I can check it like 4 times and get 4 different answers. 6 plus 6 plus 2 is 8. Yeah, that's what I got. Okay, so that's all that crappy bit taken off now. So now I can just start. Where's my box? Ugh. Start basting, which is simply putting your folding your hem up into place so that you can then sew it into place. If you're machining, obviously you can just grab the pins and off you go. And you know, hand sewers, I think a lot of people hand sew with using pins, but pins drive me insane because they get caught on everything as you're working, and I'm not into that at all. So yeah, that's not going to happen. So this is gored, which means it's cut into pieces. For those who don't understand sewing, let me explain you. Let me explain you. Can I draw on the back of that? Yeah, I can draw on the back of that. Here we go. Let me explain you. So, oh, let's turn that light down a bit. That's a bit bright. So, if you cut something like that out of one piece of fabric, you can't see that, can you? If you cut something out of one piece of fabric, like that, okay, then that's just a flat thing. But if you cut panels like that, the panels are called gauze. And this is actually, it's got a straight panel in the front. It's got straight panels at the side that go around under the arms. And then it's got a curved panel here that is cut on the bias. That's where it stretches. So it kind of, the front of it is straight, so it fits over the bust. And the sides are straight, so it goes in at the waist. But the bits in between are cut on the bias, so they kind of stretch a bit. Which is really handy if you've got a big bust. So, because of the way it's cut, I can actually go between seams. But this seam has no embroidery on it. So it's really hard to tell if the seam is straight or not. So I'm better off starting with a seam that has embroidery. Oh, actually, I think it's only the front and sides that have embroidery. Okay. The back doesn't matter because it's not going to hang straight anyway. Let's start at the front and make sure that the embroidery matches. That's what I'm going to do, I think. So this is the front centre panel. So when I'm folding this up, I want to make sure that I don't start folding it here, and by the time I get over here, it's doing this. Right? I want to make sure that all the machine, that this seam matches there, this bit of embroidery matches to there, this bit matches to here, and sew it in between accordingly. I really should have ironed this. In fact, I'm actually sitting here thinking, you know what, I might actually go and get my iron and plug it in and iron the edge. Why am I so lazy? Josiah's just discovered this month that he's obsessed with Daleks. Awesome! So you're making him a fleece blanket with a felt applique of a Dalek on it. Oh, that's cool. How old is Josiah? He's not very old, is he? Like 6, 7? Something like that? You could make little, like the the button balls either as pockets in the blanket or as little stuffed things that you can stick on and stick them on with Velcro and change all the bits and pieces so you can play with it as well. It'll save me a bunch of trouble. It will. And all I've got to do is get up, walk into the kitchen, get the iron out from under the sink and bring it back in here and plug it in. But I'm so lazy. Get the iron, get the iron, get the iron, get the iron. Get it up off your ass and go and get the iron, you lazy coo. And yes, I did say coo, not cow. I'm getting the iron, okay? I'm getting the iron. You win. I'm getting the iron. I'm getting it. Okay, interesting. That's weird. The iron is not in the cupboard. Plot twist! Plot twist, the iron is not in the cupboard. How peculiar. How peculiar, Miss Maddie. It's so heckin' peculiar. Oh, you know what though? You know what though? Who needs an iron when you've got hair straighteners you don't use? You know. So, lessons from today are put stuff away where it's supposed to be. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's my sewing machine. I don't need my sewing machine plugged in right now, so I can unplug that and plug in my straighteners. A warning to others, yeah. Maybe that you are here to serve as a warning for others. That's weird now because I know I have an iron because I used it for drying papers. So I absolutely know that I have an iron. What I don't know is what I've done with the darn thing. Which is weird because I thought I put it back. Because I remember thinking to myself, if I don't put this back, I'm never going to find it again. Because I actually didn't even know I had an iron at that point. Now, caveat, do not do this with stuff that you don't know if this is safe or not to use. And don't do it with a pair of modern thingies that get really, really hot. This is cotton. I'm fairly sure the embroidery is either cotton or cotton silk. It's cheap, but it's still cotton. It's a natural fibre. I know it's a natural fibre because I never ever get hot in it. So but yeah, if you need a quick fix and you don't have an iron, a pair of straighteners will work fine. And I don't need straighteners because we don't do straighteners. Even when I don't have dreads, I don't use straighteners. I've occasionally used them for my fringe, but usually only when I'm cutting it so that I cut it straight. Hair straightener's probably easier than an iron. Yeah, it probably is actually, because I'd have to get the pad out. I don't have a proper ironing board or anything. I have an ironing board cover that I folded round to turn into a pad so that I can iron on it. Which is okay if you're doing like a flat seam or something. I'm not that lazy. I do use my iron for flat seams because nobody has time to not use that for flat seams, right? But for something like this, hair straightener's just as good. It's just going to take a minute. So all we've got to do is make sure we don't leave it on the... Look how much simpler that is. Of course, I couldn't have actually done this if I hadn't already cut off all those knobbly bits, because it wouldn't slide like this. But I'm not pressing it. I'm just closing the things together and moving it round because I don't want it to actually catch on that embroidery. But I can now see where there's a couple of bits that I missed. So I can chop those off. Let's finish pressing it first. Finish one job before you start another. There's another. There you go. If I teach you nothing else, finish one job before you start another. I'm so bad for doing that. And then I have like 6 half-finished jobs. Because I go, oh, I'll just do this. Oh, I'll just do that. Oh, I'll just do this. Oh, I'll just do that. And nothing ever gets finished. Don't do that, kids. Finish one job, start another later. You get more done. This is a little bit too hot for this material, but as long as you keep it moving and don't leave it on the material for too long, it's fine. So I'll have to do this bit that way to get the seam to lie flat. A bit worried about that embroidery on the front. I don't know what the embroidery is made of. So rather than going hell for leather, I'm going to just try it at the bottom here. If it goes shiny, that's not a good sign. It's shiny, but it's not getting hot, so that's okay, it's cotton. I'm still going to do it so the embroidery lies flat though. I don't want to accidentally stretch it because then it definitely won't lie flat. I'm sorry, you probably can't really see what I'm doing. This is the problem with always wearing black, you see. Everything is just really hard to find. I was watching a thing the other day about somebody who was talking about for young seamstresses, which, you know, there's a lot of people in the world these days who don't have someone to learn from. So it's really good that there's all these people who are so willing to give up their time on YouTube and stuff and say, you know what, young seamstress, you don't know how to wash a fabric. Okay, here's how you do it. Here's how you wash a bolt of linen. Here's how you wash a garment when you've finished it. Here's how to test if you can wash fabrics or not. You know, teaching you the old methods that those of us of a certain age learned from our grandmothers and our mothers because they were still doing it. But these days, you know, 20-somethings, their grandmothers were kind of, well, I suppose 20-somethings, their grandmothers would be my mum. But a lot of people come from broken homes and they don't have access to older people to talk to. And, you know, how do you learn how to use a washing machine if people don't teach you? How do you learn how to wash a bolt of fabric if nobody teaches you? You know, how do you get a sheet white if nobody teaches you how to do it? It's not like, because we all know, you know, in theory, you put in all the detergents and you throw it in the washing machine and ta-da, it comes out lovely and white. But in reality, we know that actually that's not actually the case for every single sheet. That only works with 100% cotton Egyptian 300 count sheets that cost an absolute fortune. Everything else comes out kind of grey. But I was watching her programme and she was teaching how to, now you separate your whites and your blacks and your delicates and your colours and then all your natural fibres. And I'm like, dude, I have black. I have black, and because everything I own is black, and I have a lot of natural fibres because I don't like plastic fibres. I very rarely, well, my trousers are polyester because do you know how hard it is to get cotton trousers that actually fit and are warm. I could do with some wool ones, but again, can't wear wool. Okay. Turn that off, unplug it, make sure we put it somewhere where it can cool down. I've got a fire here behind me because that's metal, it'll be fine. Okay, so that was much easier, wasn't it? I should have done that in the first place. Yeah, I basically wash everything at 30 degrees. And I just throw it all in together. I do like underwear and stuff and smalls and scarves and all that kind of stuff. Little things that have a tendency to either disappear in your machine or that have a tendency to get caught in stuff. That's how you wash your pillowcases. You just, you know, socks in one, pants in another, bras in another, petticoats in another, scarves in another, chuck them all in, whoosh, done. I very rarely wash anything on a hot wash, except the dog beds. Obviously the dog beds, they're made out of cotton and they go on 90 because they need proper cleaning. But see, if you've got white towels, you practically have to cook white towels. That seam seems to be sitting straight, so let's do that bit there. But all my towels are black, you see, so I don't have to cook my towels. I just disinfect them. Where's my thimble? I'd rather put a bit of disinfectant or vinegar in a wash than do it at 90 degrees. Your grandma taught you all that before she died. Who could have taught you that died before you were born. That's a shame. Your own other grandmother wasn't domestic. See, I'm not domestic, but I know how to do stuff. I can sew. I can knit. If I had to, I could. But I don't have to. Therefore, I do what I want to. Do what I want. You know? I know how to use vinegar and soap and dish soap in hot water to scrub a floor. But I'm not getting down on my knees to scrub a floor. Mops were invented for a reason. This is stretching a little bit, so I don't know. I think I shouldn't have started on... Oh, I started on the back. I was going to start on the front so that I got the... Ugh. Duh. I was going to start on the front, so I got it even. Okay, where's the middle panel? That's the middle panel. Okay. This should be an even curve, but it's not because I cut it wrong. So I think I need to just even that up. I think it frayed more on one side than the other, so the bit that I cut off was too much. There we go. That'll do. You have a darning mushroom. I have a darning mushroom because I was a ballerina at one point, believe it or not, and I learned how to darn my ballet shoes. And for that, you need a darning mushroom. And if you can darn ballet shoes, you can darn socks, surprisingly enough. So I actually know how to darn and everything. It's only really now that I'm a bit older that I've got into it, though. I never really had the patience when I was younger. Sewing was just not my jam. I liked embroidery. Embroidery is fun. But actually making stuff. The funny thing is, I found that once you're not a generic size, you know, if you like a basic size, like somewhere between sort of 8 and 18 size, you can pretty much buy something anywhere to wear. A lot of it is quite cheap. Sadly, it's fast fashion, it's mass produced, but you know, you can pick up like a new outfit for 20 quid. When you're my size, you're lucky if you can pick up a pair of knickers for 20 quid. So it actually becomes more cost effective to buy the fabric and make it yourself. For me to buy a wool skirt, I mean, I haven't been able to find a wool skirt, an ankle length wool skirt in my size. They're all like, they seem to stop at 12, apparently. And after that, they become calf length. And I hate calf length skirts. If you don't have to lift your skirt up to go upstairs, it's not long enough. But you can see why I like the Victorian Edwardian era, can't you? Trad Goth, yay! For me to actually find a wool skirt in my size, I would probably have to have it, either have it made or go to one of the more expensive shops that actually does do my size in pretty much everything. And then you're looking at 70, 80 quid for a skirt. Where I can buy the material for it for 25 quid, spend a couple of days making it myself, and have a skirt that will last years, basically, because anytime I need to alter it in any way, I can just do it. Because for the one I'm going to make, I've actually bought extra fabric than I need, just in case I ever have to change it and, you know, add another gore to it, or add a panel, or patch it, or whatever. I've also bought enough to make a waistcoat, but I don't think I'm that adventurous just yet. Let's get these sewing projects under our belt first. Okay, so that's going to sit about there. My mum, my gran, and my grandma always knitted or sewed. My mum and my grandma mostly knitted, but my mum used to sew during the day and knit in the evening. My grandma mostly knitted, and my gran crocheted and sewed and quilted. But my mum used to make clothes from scratch. Like, she used to make her own patterns and everything. She was amazing. Is amazing. She doesn't do it anymore, sadly, but when she did, she was incredible. And she'd take like 5 or 6 different patterns and put them together. And she'd be like, oh, I'll take the sleeves from that pattern, and the skirt from that pattern, and the waist from that pattern, and the bows from this pattern, and just make something completely different. It was fantastic. But she knew how to draft her own patterns and everything. My gran was more of a tailor. She used to take stuff. She'd buy a wool winter coat in the second-hand shop that was 4 sizes too big and cut it down to fit her. So she was an alterer. She used to tailor stuff. So I learned quite a lot about refitting items from her. But I learned how to do basic sewing and stuff from my mum. I learnt to knit from my grandmother, but I hate knitting because with crochet, I can crochet one way and then I can crochet the other because I can use both hands. But with knitting, you're always using both hands. And if you're sitting like this, what I find is I start working like this and I end up working like this, and then my shoulders are like this for 2 days. So I don't enjoy knitting for that reason. But I'm glad I learnt to do all this stuff. I mean, I can cook too. Can cook, won't cook. I refuse to cook. I hate cooking. I do not see the point at all in spending any more time in the kitchen than is absolutely necessary. And if you can do something in the microwave in 10 minutes, why would you put it in the oven for 4 hours? That doesn't make any sense to me. I understand slow cookers if you're busy during the day, or, you know, you're working out or whatever. I can understand putting your food in a slow cooker. But if you're going to put your food in a slow cooker, surely it's just as easy to come home, stick it in the microwave for 10 minutes. No? You took 4H sewing, started at age 6, but still don't sew very well. It's like everything, it's practice. Once you know what you have to do, everything else is just practice. It's exactly like art, you know. You can learn how to do shading, and you can learn how to do this and learn how to do that, and blah blah blah. This has no end. Where is the end of the cotton? Bloody bobbins with no ends. It always says look for the diagonal thread, but there's like so many diagonal threads in this thing. All the threads are diagonal, people. All the threads are diagonal. You know what? I can't be arsed. I'm just going to open up one of these. I keep trying to redo, or, you know, keep threads for reusing and stuff, but they always end up either knotted up, not long enough for what I need, or... See, that's what it should be like. There's your diagonal thread. All I've got to do is pull it out, figure out where it goes, and pull it out. Oh, is that the outside thread? Yeah, it is. Okay. See, that's how it should be on everything, but no. But I don't actually need white cotton for anything. I bought some white cotton to use for my quilt project because it's black and white, and I thought I could save my black cotton because my black cotton is expensive, so I just bought some polyester thread. But if I'm tacking, I can use white cotton, right? Then I'll be able to see it. You don't think sewing is your thing? Yeah, some things are, you know... My sister is exactly the same, honestly. She can do all of it. She will spend 5 or 6 hours over a weekend in the kitchen, baking and cooking and prepping, and she's one of those crazy people who likes to cook a month's worth of meals on one Sunday, you know, and stuff like that. And she'll spend hours over it. But if she's done a sewing project, if it's not finished in 3 hours, she's not interested. If she's drawing something, if she can't just sit down, draw it and be done with it, she's not interested. And I think everybody's a bit like that with certain projects. I'm the same with knitting. I can knit something, but if it's not done in an evening, I'm not interested. that's more time than I'm prepared to commit to that kind of project. But sewing, I could sit and hand sew for hours. I used to do the mending by hand of, you know, anything like school skirts or anything like that that needed repeated mending. It was always my job because I love hand sewing. I can sit and do this for hours. Especially basting. Basting is just so easy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to be neat about it. It's just in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Job done. This is my version of colouring. And my version of knitting is when I've got a picture that needs a lot of cross-hatching or something and I just sit and cross-hatch. That's my knitting. Make sure we're still on target. Yep. Seems to be fairly easy. It's not completely cut on the straight grain, so it does stretch a little bit, but that kind of helps it go round in a circle, to be honest. That's a good thing. Some skills I find are transferable as well. Like, I don't know if I learned to judge size from drawing or if I learned to judge size from sewing, but one or the other has taught me to be able to look at something and go, yeah, that's about 4.5 inches. Yeah, that's about 13 inches, give or take. And most of the time I'll be right. I'm just really good at judging sizes. And making two things the same size. Like, oh, this is X long. Oh, I'll cut a piece of ribbon that's that sort of length. And it'll be almost exactly the same size. I'm really good at judging that kind of lengths. But again, I think that's just practice. That's like my mum doesn't use scales for cooking because she knows what X amount of flour looks like. You know, because she's done it so often. You know, if you are constantly cutting little squares of paper that are 3 inches square, you're going to get to know how big 3 inches square is. You like crochet and knitting, but prefer crochet. Crochet just works up faster. You love your crock pot in the winter. I don't care enough about cooking to be bothered with a crock pot, to be honest. I've got one, but I hardly ever use it. I use my air fryer more than I use my crock pot. Because given the choice between prepping loads of veg and stuff and making something like a vegetable casserole and throwing it in the crock pot for however many hours it takes, or chucking a jacket potato in an air fryer and doing some veg with it, I'm going to go with the jacket potato every time. Your mum baked by Phil and she had the best pie crusts. Yeah, my mum had such good pie crusts. They were always just a very slight bit soggy on the bottom, but only once you'd actually cut the pie and you'd started eating it, it started to go soggy. It didn't come out of the oven soggy, and it was light and crispy on the top and like crumbly and oh, perfect, just absolute perfect. And she does it almost entirely by eye. She just knows how much. Whereas with me, I just don't care. So I throw things in and then I'm like, no, that was a bit too much there. Probably should have measured that. I adore my air fryer. Oh, thank you for the $1.99, Butterfly. Another coffee. It's very kind of you, thank you. Yeah, people really like their air fryers, and you love French fries. Oh my God, I bought some potato wedges. Now, I love potato wedges, but I am way too lazy to cook potato wedges. I have an oven, I don't use it. Literally don't use it. The only time my oven has ever been used was when Rachel came to stay and she used it. I never use an oven. I don't use an iron either, but I don't use an oven ever. Partly because my oven is in a really annoying place, and partly because I've got a microwave and I can cook everything like 10 times as fast in that. But anything you can cook in an oven, you can do in an air fryer if your air fryer is big enough. So like, I like faux fish fingers and potato wedges, but potato wedges are really so hard to cook. They involve like switching the oven on and shit. Don't do that. But air fryer, you just get Aunt Bessie's wedges, shove them in. Yeah, pretty much everything goes in at either 160 for 10 minutes or 200 for 16 minutes. Shake halfway through. And if it's raw, it goes in at 180 for an hour. And all you've got to do is look it up. Honestly, I bought some fried wedges because I really like fried wedges and I just fancied something different. So I bought some frozen ones and I thought one day I'll actually bother to put them on a baking tray and put them in the oven. And then I thought, wait, hang on a minute, I've got an air fryer. Why am I even thinking surely if I can cook it in the oven, I can cook it in the air fryer. So I went online, typed it in, frozen wedges. You don't even have to worry about weight or anything. It's just like an oven. Literally, you know, half fill the basket. It said half fill the basket, cook for 16 minutes at 200, shake thoroughly halfway through, and if it looks slightly dry, spritz a bit of oil on it. You know, that spray oil that you use. Spritz a bit of butter on it. Didn't even need to do that. Put it in for 16 minutes. Shook it all up after 8. Put it in for 8 minutes. Shook it up. Put it in for another 8 minutes. They came out perfectly. Absolutely perfect. And the fish finger things that I have, they're not fish fingers, they're faux fish fingers. But those are, those take 8 minutes. So guess what? You half fill with potato wedges, you shove it on for 8 minutes, you shake it all up, throw your finger things or whatever in on top, put it on for another 8 minutes, comes out beautifully cooked. And if you do it in a dish, in a oven-proof dish inside your air fryer, which is why it's a good idea to get a bigger one, you can do stuff like lasagna and all sorts. You can throw cheese on stuff, which is just, that's so my jam. You thought it was just for potatoes? Oh no, it's for all sorts of stuff. I've cooked lasagna. Because, like, to do it properly, you have to cook the lasagna on the hob, the lasagna sheets, to make them soft. But you only par-cook them. You shove them in water with a little bit of salt, just a tiny, tiny bit, not even 1/4 teaspoon, just a tiny, tiny bit, so that the water gets extra hot. You cover it, vent it, stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes. While you're doing that, you prep everything else. Then you get an oven-proof dish that fits in your air fryer, throw it all in, omit the cheese, because you don't want the cheese to go to burn, and then cook it, just like you would in an oven, but usually for less time. Mine took 15 minutes, because the pasta was already cooked, or par-cooked. Then you throw cheese on it, and seasoning, and whatever else you want on the top. Cook it for another 5 minutes. Serve. Yeah, anything you'd fry. Fried bread. Oh my god. You get spray butter. Par-cook your bread. Like, toast it, but anemic toast. You know, where it's like, it feels toasted, but it's white? So it takes like 30 seconds or so. Yeah, do that with your toast. Spray it both sides. Stack it all up. Put it in the air fryer. 10 minutes later, you've got fried bread. I love my air fryer so much, I'm actually tempted to get a bigger one. Because the one I've got is the perfect size for one jacket potato. And a couple of, like, faux fish fingers or a faux cutlet of some sort or something like that. Or 2 jacket potatoes. 2 jacket potatoes is an easier way of describing it, isn't it? Sorry, I got a knot in my thing somehow, and I don't know, because I wasn't paying attention, I managed to get a knot in it. That I now can't seem to get out for some reason. And they're not expensive. Some of them are. Mine was £35 on an Amazon deal. The bigger ones are. But the ones that are big enough for a single person, not very expensive at all. Just keep your eye on Amazon deals. You're now interested and very hungry. Going on your wish list. Yeah. If you like a lot of fried food, but you don't like the fried calories that come with it, air fryer is your best friend. I like a lot of grilled stuff. But again, I don't like the calories. But you can do bacon and everything. Sausage, bacon, all sorts. The best ones are the slightly more expensive ones that are like the actual pot has broken up stuff. So like my mum's got one that breaks into 3. So you can put your potato in, and then halfway through cooking you can put your frozen food in, and then halfway through that again you can put your veg in. But like all I do is I cook everything that can be easily reheated first. So like anything like I'm vegetarian, but I have faux sausages and faux bacon because life's too short not to have bacon, guys. I cook all that stuff first because you can microwave that for 30 seconds and it's hot again. But anything that you can't really reheat, like your frozen potato stuff, veg and things you can reheat, frozen potatoes not so much. I just cook that last. And then in the last 3 minutes, just chuck everything else in on a plate in the microwave, and then it all comes out piping hot. Or wait till your last thing is cooked, throw it all on a plate, and throw cheese on top. And by the time the cheese is cooked, everything else will be hot. Your interest in cooking is like mine. I love sandwiches. Yes, I love sandwiches. I don't cook meals. I would rather have like cook a jacket potato in the air fryer for an hour, throw on a bit of cheese, and then like if I'm hungry again an hour and a half later, then I'll make some soup or I'll make a sandwich or something like that. I don't cook big meals. Mostly because if I cooked a big meal, I'd get so distracted that it'd be cold by the time I actually got to eat any of it. So I'm better off having small bits and pieces. So it doesn't bother me if my wedges are done before everything else is finished. You know, I'll just sit and eat my wedges. And for those who know I love pizza, no, I do not cook my pizza in the air fryer. It's not big enough. However, 1, there's such a thing as microwave pizza. And 2, if you're going to have pizza, you might as well just have it delivered. Because, you know, all these health nuts can tell you that your vegan broccoli cauliflower hybrid whatever is pizza, but it's not, okay? It's not dripping in cheese and it's not made of bread, then it's not pizza. I'm sorry. So, if you're going to have pizza, might as well order in. Get it from the professionals. That's what I say. You can, however, do very successful cheese on toast in a microwave. As long as you don't have to deal with people who are like, oh, but the cheese won't go brown. Who needs cheese to be brown? Brown cheese is burnt. As long as it's melty, I'm good. It's funny, you'd think from the size of me that I absolutely adore food, and I'm always stuffing my face with this, that, and the other, and can't have enough food, and most of the time I forget to eat. What do you get in your pizza if you don't have meat? Garlic. Yeah, first of all, my unpopular opinion is if you're having pizza, first off, the only meat that should go on pizza is pepperoni, okay? Meatballs, that's a separate meal. That's like putting lasagna on pizza. No, you don't have meatballs. If you're having shredded beef, that should be on a taco, okay? Not on a pizza. I do occasionally have pepperoni and pineapple. Sometimes the cravings are just too much, and I have pepperoni and pineapple because I do like pepperoni and pineapple. But pepperoni is not really meat, so mostly not really meat anyway. No, I'm a garlic margarita girl, and occasionally I have pineapple on it if I'm feeling like I need a bit of a sweet tooth. Ham and pineapple pizza. I can understand ham and pineapple because ham and pineapple goes together naturally anyway with cheese. So, you know, ham and pineapple pizza, I can... Okay, I'll give you that one. I wouldn't just have ham on its own. That's weird. I could even understand going as far as ham and mushroom because again, ham and mushroom and cheese is a regular. That was my question, was pizza is all about the meat and cheese and garlic. It's not about the meat. It's definitely about the cheese and garlic, but meat is optional. But if you're going to have meat on pizza, it should be pepperoni or bust, as far as I'm concerned. And you don't just have meat pizza, because that's a weird American thing. Like these pizzas that are like 50 meats and extra cheese. It's like, no. That's just a kebab at that point. I used to like ham and mushroom. But honestly, I'm good with I like the vegetarian ones. I'm quite happy with vegetarian pizza. As long as it doesn't have jalapenos on it. I can't eat jalapenos, they make my stomach cramp. They really make me ill. I like them. I like chili. I like how hot they are. I love the taste of jalapenos, but they do not like my stomach. Woof. No. Oh, it's like being stabbed in the gut. Absolutely not. I can't eat them. They won't eat your pizza because you always get mushrooms on it. Oh, well, yeah, if you've got other people in the house, then you buy whatever you have to have that makes sure that nobody else eats your pizza. I think that's how, before I was vegetarian, I always used to get pineapple and pepperoni. And that's still what I'll get sometimes as a treat, is pepperoni and pineapple. Because the minute you say pepperoni, half of the people turn their nose up and go, ew, no, not pepperoni. And as soon as you say pineapple, everybody else goes, ew, no, not pineapple. So like, yeah, that's me then. Pepperoni and pineapple, I'm good. Do you want a bit of my pizza? No? Okay then. I love a combination. It's got to be from a place that does... You know, sometimes you get pizza that's a little bit overly juicy. It's got to be from a place that's slightly overly juicy. But sweet corn, mushroom, and onion. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm all about that. It's the only thing you get to yourself. Yeah. There are 2 things that you should always buy with adding something that you will eat and nobody else will. Pizza and ice cream. Otherwise, you got to get it, it's gone. Somebody else has eaten it. Oh, well, I thought I'd replace it. You know, anybody who's ever had housemates or anything, I mean, I don't have kids or anything, but I've had housemates. The amount of times I'd go, oh, I'm just gonna have a bit of ice cream, and I'd go to my ice cream. Oh, we ate your ice cream the other day because we didn't have anything, and I'm like, excuse me? I don't mind if you're going shopping the next day and you leave me a note saying we ate your ice cream last night, I'll pick you up a replacement tonight on the way home. That's fine. That's not a problem, because the chances are I don't want to eat it before you get back anyway. But don't leave it a week and a half to when I want to go and eat my ice cream that I bought specifically for a day when I just think, you know what, I fancy some ice cream, because I can't eat a little bit of ice cream. I have a pint of Ben & Jerry's. Is it the pint? I don't know. It's the ones that big. I buy one of those maybe once every 3 months because I know I will eat it in one sitting. If I had 3 in the house, that would be 3 days worth of ice cream. So I don't. I buy one and then I make it last, because every time I think, oh, I fancy some ice cream, I think, yeah, but am I going to eat the whole thing? Am I too full to eat the whole thing? Because I know I'm going to eat the whole thing and it will make me ill. So I wait until I know, you know what, tonight I feel like having a sandwich and then eating an entire thing of ice cream. But you have to always get one that nobody else will eat. Garlic sauce, tomato, mushrooms, onion, cheese and spinach. That actually sounds quite nice. Even the spinach. With everything else, I wouldn't have just spinach. Or even just like mushroom and spinach. That's a bit... because spinach doesn't really taste of anything. But as a combination, that sounds nice. Because it basically sounds like bolognese sauce. That sounds really nice. Do I have a favourite delivery place? I do. There's a little place just around the corner from me that does amazing pizzas. Absolutely spot on. I am a regular. They know me. I don't even have to place an order. I just ring up and say, yeah, put me through on PayPal, that's fine. And they know what I have. They know how to charge me. Goes straight through. No problem. I find that safest, because otherwise I have a tendency to over-order. It's like Chinese food. You order enough for about 50 people. Even if you're only ordering one dish, somehow you manage to order enough for 50 people, because you think, oh, I'll just have a little bit of that, and I'll just have a little bit of that, and you forget they're massive portions. So it's easier to just have a regular order, and that's all you order. So you don't think, oh, I'll just get some onion rings, I'll just get a couple of mozzarella sticks, I'll just get a couple of this, a couple of that. The next thing you know, you've got enough to feed several people for a week. It's an independent shop as well. It's a kebab shop, but they do pizzas as well. Because everywhere here is kebab shops that do pizzas as well. It's not like America where you have pizza chains. I mean, we do have a Papa John's, we do have Domino's, but I can buy the same food from my local shop and it will be here in an hour. It will be piping hot. It will be exactly what I want. I don't even have to tell them what I want. I just tell them who I am and they know what my order is. Everything is absolutely perfect, and if it's towards the end of the night and they've got extra chips, they throw in an extra portion of chips for me because they know I like chips. And chips from a chip shop, the way they cook them, you can reheat them the next day and they're perfectly fine. You have to refrigerate them overnight, but you can reheat them the next day in the microwave. So that's lunch for the next day sorted. But I can buy something from there for like £8. At Domino's, it cost me 23. It'd take 2 hours to get here. It'd probably be cold. Half the order would be missing. I don't like pizza places, like specific pizza places, because here they don't care about pizza. Oh, we're nearly at the end of this. This is taking forever. No! I've got like 2.5 panels left. It's a good job I have got you guys here to talk to, because around this point, if I was on my own, I'd be like, yeah, I'm done with this now. I'll just shove it in the box. But I'm here. I'm being accountable. I'm starting to get hungry. I now want pizza, which is good because tomorrow is grocery delivery, which means tonight is foraging in the cupboards night or pizza. Might have to be pizza. But that's okay because we're streaming late tonight anyway, so I won't really have time to cook anything or forage or whatever, so I can just order. We're done with it. Do something else while I wait. I have to see if there's a local place. There's a chain for fast food. Are you in the UK? You're not in the UK, are you? Or are you? Pam? See, where I live, every other shop is a kebab shop. So, and kebab shops do everything. Primarily kebabs, obviously, but if you want pizza, they'll do pizza. You want burger and chips, they'll do burger and chips. You want southern fried chicken, they'll do that. The only thing they don't do is Chinese. We got a Chinese for that. Katie's back. I didn't even know she'd left. Hi, Katie. Welcome back. Oh, yeah, you went to get Finn, didn't you? I did know you'd left. You're in Seattle. Oh, so you get, like, Chicago pizza type stuff. Because Seattle area, you're still close enough to get proper pizza. It's always really funny when Americans go to Italy and have pizza, because pizza in Italy is not like pizza in America. I went to Germany to a friend's wedding, and he was like, "Oh, you love pizza, don't you? We'll have to go out for pizza. Germany does amazing pizza." Oh my god. It was like a piece of cardboard with tomato sauce on it and a bit of cheese. It was horrible. The outside crusts, they give you a 14-inch pizza and you don't eat the outside 3 inches. That's why they give you a 14-inch pizza, because the outside of it is going to be solid as a brick. I'm like, well, why don't they just cook it properly and then it wouldn't be solid as a brick and they could just give you a 12-inch pizza? That makes no sense. In the UK, you can buy a munchie box. Mostly in Scotland. Never had one, but they look nice. What, you mean like a variety box? Where they just chuck all sorts of stuff in it for you? Is that what you mean? Lisa's trying to confuse me this week. Every time she's said anything, it's just been something that I've never heard of before. And I'm like, are you actually from this country? Oh, college towns in the USA, I bet, are the best places to get fast food for anything. Any kind of fast food you want, a college town is where you want to be, I bet. It's Chinese, chips, burgers, kebabs, etc. Oh, it is a bit of everything, yeah. Variety box, yeah. So they're called munchie boxes in Scotland, are they? Yeah, my local does that. If you order a small pizza, you can get all sorts of. You can get chips as topping on your pizza, which is just so fun. They'll just tuck it all in one. But our kebab shops are all Turkish, so they don't do Asian food. No, they don't do Chinese food. So that you can get like falafels and stuff like that, and they'll do Indian curry and things like that, but they don't do Chinese. The Chinese takeaways are all separate, and they cost a fortune. And they all charge like £4 to deliver, and I'm like, well, you know what? If you didn't charge £4 to deliver, people might actually use you more often, and then your prices wouldn't have to be so high. Yeah, see, I live in an area where there's 4 universities and several colleges. But it's also a very working class area, and working class areas, by and large, tend to have a lot of fast food places. I don't even like calling them fast food places, because they're not really. They're convenience food, but they're not fast food like McDonald's and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's a proper burger like you'd cook at home. It's just from a takeout instead of doing it yourself. Do falafel in the air fryer. Oh, it works. It's gorgeous. It goes crispy. What you have to do is heat it first. Heat your air fryer first. And don't forget to spray on some oil or butter. Butter works better, actually, because it goes crunchy. But you have to heat it first. Anything that's almost entirely vegetable. Like, I found it with cauliflower as well. Like, I do cauliflower cheese in mine. And because I like my cauliflower crunchy. But again, if you don't heat it first, everything goes mushy. So if you want it crunchy and with some substance, then you need to heat it first. If you like it mushy, just chuck it in and let it heat up. That's my tip for the air fryer. So like jacket potatoes, I like my jacket potatoes really light and fluffy with really, really crunchy, thick skins. So I put my jacket potato in, spray it with oil, and then turn the air fryer on. But like potato wedges, I don't like them fluffy, I like them crispy. So I heat the air fryer up first, and then I put the potato wedges in. My mum used to make potato cakes and deep fry them, and I'm sure those would be so nice in the air fryer. It was literally like leftover potato from the night before, and she'd mash it all up with like cheese and flour and breadcrumbs and all sorts of stuff, and then deep fry it. And they were so nice. Oh, I love potato cake. I fancy potato cakes now. I have to ask my mum if you can do potato cakes in the air fryer, because I think, yeah, I could cope with doing, because you can cook potatoes in the microwave, or you could just use frozen mash. Throw it all in together and then chuck it in the air fryer for a couple of minutes. I mean, if you want to, you could do it in the oven. If you want to cook it, But if you just want to have something hot to eat. Bubble and squeak. Oh, yes. Now that I do, and I also do it in the air fryer. You just save up your leftover veg for the week, or you throw in a few bits of frozen stuff all in together. Again, I defrost it in the microwave and then put it all in the air fryer in a dish with cheese on, and it comes out bubble and squeak. It's like magic. You don't know Seattle very well, but if you're close to the university, there'll be some good independent pizza places. Yeah, I think, honestly, any kind of food like that, I would rather go to an independent place. I mean, I like a McDonald's as much as the next person, you know, but if I want a McDonald's, I want McDonald's specifically. If I want a burger, I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm going to go to a place that actually has proper patty burgers, that they cook it all separate and put it together. Not somewhere like McDonald's where it's just conveyor belt cooking. You're near Tacoma? Oh, so it's all chains. That's a shame. We don't have a lot of chains here, you see. And we have Pizza Hut, and but Pizza Hut here it's not really considered takeaway. It's They do deliver, but we don't really consider it delivery. If you go to Pizza Hut, you go to Pizza Hut, because the whole point of going to Pizza Hut is so that you can raid the salad bar and get free refilled drinks. Bubble and squeak is leftovers, Dawn. So all week you save up your veg in the fridge. Any leftover veg, anything anybody doesn't eat, anything that's too much cooked or whatever, chuck it all in together, and when you've got enough, you mash it all up, add some seasoning, mix in some cheese and fry it, or put it in the air fryer, and it comes out like similar to hash browns but without the coating. It's a little bit like a naked hash brown. Because Boxing Day dinner is always bubble and squeak, cold turkey, tin of beans. Ooh, add a whisked egg. Yeah, add a bit of scrambled egg. Absolutely. My food tastes are very much child of the 70s, I tell you. Ketchup sandwiches, crisp sandwiches. Oh, you can't beat a cheese on your crisp sandwich. I'm sorry. It is. Just look up bubble and squeak. You can even, like, if you've got frozen veg, you know when you've got bits of frozen veg left in the bag and it's not quite enough, cook it all up in a microwave, leave it to go cold till the next day in the fridge. Leaving it to go cold is essential. That's part of it. And then cook it up the next day in your fryer. It's a really handy way of using up bits of, especially if you've got cauliflower. Cauliflower is like a staple ingredient of bubble and squeak. I don't know what it is about the cauliflower, but there's something in the cauliflower that just makes it taste right. concrete and toothpaste? Do you mean chocolate concrete and mint sauce? They used to make chocolate concrete at school. Just bits of stuff flying everywhere. The hardest shortbread known to man in mint custard. Yeah. I used to like jam roly-poly. That was me. Or apple. Anything apple. Apple custard. Apple crumble. Apple pie. Anything. Anything apple. I was there. Especially if you had custard to it. Do pie in the air fryer as well, you know. That's how I do apple pie. You get, you know, the flaky pastry. Put a sheet of flaky pastry in. Chuck in some apple. Either real apple or apple sauce or tinned apple or whatever you can get your hands on. It doesn't really matter. Cover it up with another bit. Vent it. Stick it in the air fryer. Oof. Lovely. Roughly chopped up leftover Christmas roast, tats and bubble and squeak. Yeah, Monday was always bubble and squeak night because Sunday was full roast. And my dad always used to cook extra. Like if there was only a couple of potatoes left, he'd cook them as well. If there was only a few carrots, he'd chuck those in too. Any veg that was going out of date, that went in. And what didn't get eaten was made into bubble and squeak on Monday. And if there wasn't enough for everybody who wanted bubble and squeak, he used to cook up some rice and mix that in as well to bulk it up. Oh, I loved my school dinners. It was bog standard 1970s school dinner fare, but I absolutely loved it. And my favourite was pink egg. When you'd have scrambled egg and cubed beetroot, and you'd end up with pink egg. Oh, I love that stuff. It's all pre-made and driven in now. No. My mum's friend was one of the dinner ladies. And it was all frozen food that they cooked on site, but they cooked everything on site. He used to make massive pies that were like 4 inches deep. Come on. Oh. I feel like I've been sewing this forever. You went to get coffee. Oh, you went to get coffee and missed the bubble and squeak. You'd love bubble and squeak, Pam. You have to make bubble and squeak. Your mum was a dinner lady back in the day. Cool. Our dinner ladies were awesome. They were such nice people. My mum was never a dinner lady, but she did used to go and fill in. If somebody was sick, she'd go and fill in. My mum was what we used to call very all PC like we did back in the 70s. She was a remedial teacher. But because she was already in the school and she knew how to cook, she'd quite often just fill in because if somebody was off sick or something. Stews and soups. Oh yeah. I'm not so big on soup. I like chunky soup. But stew, oof, stew and dumplings. Stew and dumplings is my favourite. Anytime I go home, the rule is stew and dumplings and apple crumble. That's what we have for dinner anytime I go home. That's the rules. And I made that rule. And then the second day is always curry. Because my dad absolutely loves curry, but my mum doesn't. So he doesn't get to have curry very often. Oh, I'm nearly at the end. I'm nearly at the end. And then I've got to start again and go all the way round again. Oh, this is tricky because this bit is thick. Might have to stitch this up a little bit further than I want to because it's too thick to bend on that bit of embroidery. Maybe if I do it there, kind of weave around it, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. That'll do. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Let's trim that bit off so it doesn't sit funny. Yeah, it's kind of a shame there's so many people of my generation that didn't learn how to do stuff. And now they don't know how to teach the kids. And it's surprising how many of the younger generation, especially with so many of them being into recycling and, you know, all this kind of stuff, it's surprising how many of them there are that are like, well, instead of like going and buying something brand new, I'll go to a thrift shop and I'll change it and I'll you know. A friend of mine's youngsters, because she's the same age as me and she doesn't know how to do any of this stuff. She always, if she has anything to do, she gets me to do it. But her daughter is at an age now where she's like, yeah, but I can buy vintage stuff. And if it doesn't fit me, I could change the size of it to fit me. And then I'm recycling and I'm wearing vintage and it's cool and I've got something unique. So, of course, her mother doesn't know how to teach her. And I don't have the patience. So I helped her find a college class that she could go to. So 2 nights a week, she goes to evening classes to learn how to sew. Specifically because she likes vintage dresses and she picks them up in thrift shops and then tailors them to fit her. So, pretty cool. But we lost that art, I think, somewhere along the line. But there's so many of the the kids now, like whatever the post-millennials are called, that are all very much into salvaging and recycling, and they're all getting back into natural fabrics because they don't like the plastic, and they're starting to rediscover all these crafts that so many of us of my generation, you know, the 70s, it was polyester heaven. You didn't make anything, you just bought polyester. You know, it wasn't even fire retardant. You got it anywhere near it so much as a candle and it melted. But, you know, plastic clothes was the new thing. Yeah, there's an awful lot of people my age who only learn the basic handicrafts that we did at school, or because they did home ec in college. They never learnt from their parents. Whereas my dad can knit. My dad can knit. He could sew a shirt if he needed to. It would be square and boxy, and it would all be straight lines, but it would fit him. He used to knit toys. Do all sorts of things, my dad. I got to the end. Yay! Your mum was in a group called Home Extension, and the colleges wrote the stuff for these home groups who taught basics like how to iron, plant a garden, etc. Oh wow, that's really cool. My gran was in a busy bee. We'd all get together twice a week to do sewing projects. And by sewing projects, I mean they used to get together and gossip about the neighbourhood. But they were sewing projects. At 98, my gran was still crocheting blankets for the old people. Okay, black thread. Oh, I've got black thread down here. Hang on. I've got one down here that I'm almost finished with. Where have you gone? There you are. Learn to knit socks for the troops. I think that's how my dad learned to knit. A lot changed when women went to work versus being at home. I don't think so. My gran and my grandmother worked. My grandmother was a matron of a ward in London, in fact. And they still knew how to knit and sew and everything, and they taught their kids how to knit and sew and everything. All of my mum's brothers can knit and sew, and I don't think it's specifically when women went back to work. I think it's post-war. Once rationing finished and there was no restrictions and people didn't have to make do and mend, they didn't. Unfortunately, make do and mend is a really good skill. So, sorry, I'm not. This is not a tutorial, okay? I'm just sewing. But for those who want to know, once you've basted your hem up by sewing it up once, what you then do is fold it over and fell stitch it, which is like, it's hard to explain, but it's your needle goes diagonally so that your stitches run just little catch stitches like that. Well, I don't know what the situation was in America, but certainly here, it wasn't because women were at work. Women were at work and they still took care of the home. It was more because you didn't have to. So they didn't. I suppose it's a natural thing if you know that you've been, not been able to do things for so long and then suddenly you can. It's freedom, isn't it? Suddenly you can go to work and you can cook a meal in 5 minutes because you've got a microwave sitting at home, and yes, you can make your own dresses, but you don't have to. You can buy one from a shop, which at that point was a luxury. That's the thing. It went from being you made your own clothes, but if you could afford to, you bought one, and that was a major thing, or you had one made for you. And then it turned into fast fashion where everybody just could afford to buy everything because it was just mass produced and cheap. And now the backlash is that because everything's mass produced and cheap, a lot of people don't want to wear it because it's just crap. So if you want to understand the stitching I'm doing here, go and look up Bernadette Banner. I think it's called 3 hand stitches, 3 essential hand stitches, or 3 basic hand stitches. It basically shows you how to do the basting stitch I've just done, an anchored basting stitch, which is just where you do a back stitch occasionally, and a felled stitch, which is a felled seam like this. This bit is really tricky because it's bulky, but I think other than this it should be okay. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my little scissors and I'm going to cut off some of that edging on the inside again, so that I don't have to turn it under, because once it's sewn down it's not going to unravel or anything. It hasn't unravelled and it's just been raw cut for about 2 years, because that's how long it takes me to do stuff. But I think I can cut all that bit off and then I don't have to actually fold that bit over, which means I've only got to fit that bit in now. That should make it a bit easier. Hi Pam B. Things have changed. Maybe you're old-fashioned. Well, old-fashioned is back in style, depending on how old-fashioned you are. But most of us here are, I think most of my audience actually is between 30 and 60, so awful lot of people of adult kids age here. Bernadette Banner's 3 hand stitching video. Thank you, Katie. That's a fantastic video because she explains things so well, and she's got a really good camera, and she does close-ups of what you're doing, and she doesn't sew black. She also does it historically, so because I think it's a time thing, back in the oldie days. What did women do but sit in home and sew and do stuff like that? So they had more time, I think. So you're the same age as my mum. My mum's a little bit older than you, but you're the next generation up. That explains why you sometimes say the kind of things that my mum would say. At 40, my mum spent a lot of time saying, oh, youngsters nowadays don't do this, they don't do that. And now she's like, these kids now, they're fantastic, aren't they? They're learning to sew and knit and they can all do stuff, and they're all asking for learning how to do things themselves, and my dad's the nominee DIYer for the whole area. My mum and dad are those older people who somehow attract the young couples. Because my mum knows how to do stuff and my dad knows how to do stuff. And the kind of young couples see them doing stuff. And they're like, oh, can you show me how to do that? Can you teach me? My mum didn't know how to do that, you know. So my dad ends up teaching young blokes of like 25 how to put in a kitchen and how to plumb a pipe and how to fit a toilet and how to tile a wall and stuff like that they would have had to go to college for. And my mum's the go-to for cooking and sewing and stuff. But see, the thing is, after my generation, like I was in school, I left high school in 1990. And after my generation, they stopped teaching things like home ec. Because they said it wasn't necessary. It wasn't a necessary skill anymore. Well, burning your bras, yeah. Burning your bras was a necessary thing because bras are uncomfortable. Nobody wants to wear a bra, let's face it. Yep. Still got it. So if you're doing this, well, right. There is no real right way in any kind of sewing, because as you'll find if you watch any of the costubers, when they look at extant garments and they're like, oh my god, they just ripped this seam out and didn't even bother finishing the hem. You know, we are way more fussy about how our hems look these days than they were when they just made clothes for necessity, you know. You've got a party to go to, your hem's down, or you need to let this dress out a bit, you're going to do it in 10 minutes. And be damned if it's got nice hemming and seaming and everything else. Who cares? Nobody's going to see it. that was always a big thing in our house. Who cares? Nobody's going to see it. It doesn't matter. It's like I was taught when I did embroidery that the back of your embroidery should always look as neat as the front of your embroidery. If you look at old embroidery samples, it's complete rubbish. People are like, even on couture stuff, nobody cares because nobody's going to see it. They just whack it on any old way, especially on old couture stuff, because they used to put silk on the back of the embroidery so that the embroidery didn't dig into your skin or anything, or rub on your corsets. So they'd line it with silk. So literally nobody was ever going to see it. And yet we have this idea that they're all like, oh, you know, back in the old 1700s, sitting over their candles, embroidering things to the nth degree. And it's like, no, people just didn't care any more than we do. They just, if it's made, it's made. That'll do. I think because we forget that there was a difference between someone who was a dressmaker or tailor and people who just sewed. Everybody sewed, you know. It's like the difference between, you know, people who keep an art journal and professional artists. They don't do things the same way, because people who just keep an art journal don't care if it's archival. They don't care if it's neat and pretty and this, that, and the other. They just do it because that's what they want to do. It's creativity. like chefs or cooks. Chefs and cooks will make things look good. They will make things look appetizing because that's what they do. They cook nice food and they make it look appetizing. You know, people cooking for themselves at home. I don't know about you, but mine doesn't have to look appetizing. It just has to smell good. If it smells good, it's edible. I really don't care if it looks like a dog's dinner. I certainly don't need garnish on anything. just throw it all on. If all else fails, throw some cheese on top. Did I finish about my... I didn't finish about my project. I've got this black wool for my skirt, but I've also got some really nice... Let me show you. I've got some self-patterned cotton. Look at this. And I've got a ton of it. There's like 8 meters or something here. And it's really, it's not see-through, but it's very light, which is what I like. So, pirate shirts are us. I should be able to make at least 3 out of this. Possibly 4. Depends how long I make them, I think. I'm going to check the lengths. Again, if you want to make a pirate shirt, go and check out Bernadette Banner. She has a pattern and everything. Somebody wrote it out in the chat, so if you don't get to screenshot it, go and check in the chat. Somebody wrote out everything that you needed, if you can't read her writing. But it's simple. It's like 8 different squares in different sizes, and the only thing you've got to measure, you've got to make sure that your fabric width, the bolt of the width, is wide enough for you. Which basically, as long as it's not 30 centimetre weft, it's fine. Regular fabric width is fine. And the only thing you have to know is from the top of your shoulder over your bust to the middle of your thigh. That's the only measurement you need. Which, as it happens, is the length of this. So when I've hemmed this correctly, I will measure the front. And then I'll be able to... I'll know what length my pirate shirt needs to be. And I can probably even bring it up a little bit because you tuck it in. Oh, is that it? Thanks, Katie. Oh, it's so easy. Honestly, it's straight line sewing. I've actually got... Because I've written out the pattern. I wrote out the pattern here. That's the pattern. So you make one of these... Or, if you've got half fabric, you fold it that way, or you fold it that way, depending on... Or you make 2 parts, depending on what size of fabric you've got. I've got masses of fabric, so I'm just going to cut a big piece like that. Then you cut 2 collars, 2 sleeves, 2 collars, 2 arm gussets, 2 cuffs. And it is literally just, so this to this, and this to this, and this to this, and this to this. It's like putting together an IKEA box, except... You don't have to crawl on the floor to do it. I took a screenshot of her pattern and then I wrote it out again so that I knew exactly what I needed to do. Because once it's in my head, I'm okay. And then I worked out any of the measurements. There's only like 3 measurements that you have to actually take. But like the neck measurement, you have to measure around the base of your neck. But I know that the tightest I can have anything on my neck is the size of this necklace. So I just measured the length of the necklace chain. Yeah, you could do it, Katie, easily. And if you have to hand sew it, you could still hand sew it. It's not hard to do. And she actually does hers by hand. So you could just follow along. It's a really nice little project. The hardest part is cutting out the bits straight, which she also shows you how to do. And if you needed to, you could cut paper pieces the right size and then lay them out properly. but you don't really need to, because you're just literally taking the width of the fabric and you just measure the length. And then you're just gathering it all up. And to gather, all you do is you do what I just did with this white stitch here, and then you pull it together so it gathers. It's simple as that. But she shows you exactly how to do everything. And then all you've got to do, you know, if you don't want cuffs, then you ignore the cuffs, you make the sleeves a bit longer, put some elastic in it, or you put a drawstring in it, or whatever. If you want some lacings, she's got a tutorial on how to do eyelets and a tutorial on, well, she says they're not tutorials, but she knows what she's doing, so you can follow what she's doing. Put in some eyelets or put in some buttonholes, thread in some lacing, job done. She's got one that's, I mean, you have to go through her videos to find the different bits, but she's got one where she shows you how to do an edge-to-edge closure, which is where you have two pieces of fabric and they just meet in the middle, and then you have a loop and a button. So you actually have a gap between the two pieces of fabric, but they're held together with a loop and a button. She's got all sorts of stuff like that, and so easy to follow. She also makes it interesting as well, because she talks about the history of garments and stuff, because she's a historian. And she'll, you know, she does it as a complete project. It's not just like, you know, here's what you do, cut out this, cut out that. It's not modern sewing. It's like, it's proper sewing. It's not modern sewing. It's not slap it through a machine and serge the edges or anything like that. It's actual hand sewing like this, which I really enjoy. But if you can't hand sew, you could just throw it through a machine as well, and that would work too. One day I will work my way up to making a corset. That's my dream. That's always been my dream. Even back when I used to make my own, because I used to make my own goth dresses and all sorts. That's always been my dream, is to make a proper corset. Not one of these cheap, nasty, stupid ones that they have now that aren't really corsets. Like a proper corset that women actually used to wear, that didn't half kill them. So, and before anybody comes after me in the comments, if you're watching this on replay, before you do that, go and watch Bernadette Banner's video on corsetry, and then go and watch Abby Cox, and then go and watch Morgan Donner's, and then go and watch Kathy Hayes, because they all say the same thing. Of course, it's a fiddly, yeah. That's what everybody said. They're easy to do, but they take forever. I actually like I do like corsets, but because I've got a really big bust, I actually have, even though I'm big, like really, really big, I actually have an hourglass figure, which makes it even weirder, because I have a really big bust, but my waist in comparison to my really big bust and really big hips is actually quite small. And I do have the 8-inch difference, which makes it an hourglass figure. So it's very weird for me, because I look like I'm so badly padded out. So I would actually like to make an underbust corset. Because I don't wear bras. I wear like sports bra type things. See you, Risha. And at some point I'm going to teach myself to make those out of cotton, stretch cotton, instead of, because I'm sure stretch jersey would be far more forgiving and far more healthy than having elastane and lycra and God knows what else plastics next to your skin. They're also sweaty. Who wants to be sweaty all the time? Ugh. But my girls need to be leashed up. It's not like I can just go braless. Even at home, I can't really go braless. But in the meantime, I found some really good, like sports bra-like things that actually they do up at the front, and they have lace all over the back, like just lace, nothing else. And then the sides are like kind of, you know, that stretchy cotton where it's mostly cotton with a bit of elastane that leggings used to be made out of before everything went lycra. They're those, it's like t-shirt material but a little bit stretchier. I would like to be able to recycle some t-shirts into this kind of stuff. I just have to work out what the stretch of the fabric is. Okay, at some point when I'm sewing this, I need to remember to uncurl my needle because this thread gets puckered after a certain amount of... Yeah, I don't have time for this. No patience. Where did that knot go? Yeah, we like to think that our seamstress ancestors would have sat here and religiously picked out this knot and done it all properly and carried on as if everything was normal. But the reality is they probably would have just cut it off like I'm going to do. And just restarted that bit, you know? That's the reality of it. Scaffolding in a parachute, yeah. Oh, I should... Yeah, because you have similar issues to me. The thing I like about these are, because they're racer back, they kind of pull you up like that. So rather than having the whole lift and separate construction of a bra, it's actually pulling at your back. So it makes you sit up straight, so it stops your shoulders rolling. And I really like that. I'll have to send you the link, Lisa, because you probably do well with them as well, actually. Certainly for around the house. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go out shopping in one, but who's going out shopping these days? Am I right? Yeah, they're very, very comfortable for the larger bust that needs some reining in. I mean, it's not even like I feel like I need a lot of support. You know, I've got boobs, they move about. Deal with it. It's not like I'm going cross-training anytime soon or anything like that. If I was, I would have a proper scaffolding bra. But just for everyday kind of moving about and walking about, completely fine. Yeah, Katie, you do well with it too because you're similar. You're not as big as me and Lisa at the moment because we've got the COVID 50 going on. But you're a very slender frame with big boobs. So you'd probably benefit from them as well because it really does pull you across at the back. And anything that lifts you at the back is way better than just supporting from underneath, I think. It feels better because it makes you sit up straight, which has got to be strengthening your back, right? You have proper scaffolding bra that has that the band is Velcro. I like Velcro. The only thing I don't like about Velcro is how much dog hair it picks up. But, Velcro or hooks, multiple hooks and eyes, not like lots vertically, but lots that way. So you can, like waistbands of skirts and stuff, so you can adjust your skirt depending on how much lunch you've had. That's the answer. That's the answer to clothes not fitting you anymore. Loose skirts and adjustable waistbands. Not elastic. You got a spinning wheel. How awesome is that? Spin your own natural fibres. Yeah. Have you got a source for like? Do you live near an alpaca farm or anything like that? Have you got a source for some fibres? I like watching spinning, but I have no patience in doing it myself. I tried it once. That's how I found out I was allergic to wool. And I did enjoy trying it, and I love watching it. I could sit and watch somebody spinning for hours, but it's not my thing. Same as weaving. I can watch people weaving on a loom for hours on end, but I don't want to do it myself. You weave the fabric and I'll sew it into something. That's how I work. Sports bras. Sports bras are the best things ever. Except for the fact that they're completely made out of plastic. You've got a source from a local farmer. Oh, that's fantastic. There's a lot of call on like Etsy and stuff for natural fibre things that have been plant dyed and stuff, because there's so many vegan crafters now. Loads and loads of people asking for that kind of thing. That's why I like the front closing ones, Lisa, because uniboob is not good. Uniboob is not good on anybody. But a front closure, you don't get that. Because you literally have a panel that goes down the middle. Plus, front closure, if you've got a bad shoulder, is really useful. You don't care about uniboob, you just don't want them to hurt after your workout, yeah. Oh, if you're working out, who cares about how many boobs you've got, as long as you don't have 15 flapping about in the wind. Yeah, Miss Maddie. She is awake. The Kraken has awoken. Yeah, you don't want black eyes either. Ta-da! Look how nice and neat. Can't even see the stitching, look. I've done like 8 inches. I've got all of this to go. I think I need to go and eat first, though. I'll do a quick forage in the kitchen. And then when I remind myself that it's grocery day tomorrow and there is nothing to forage in the kitchen that actually goes together, even for my weird tastes, I can't put stuff together, then I will order pizza, I think. Carry on sewing. I don't think I missed any chat, did I? I've been quite good at keeping up with chat today. You're in a Learn to Make a Corset group on Facebook. Oh, cool. Kathy Hay runs a whole site called Foundations Revealed. It's all about underwear. Like, historical underwear. So not only can you learn to make a corset, you can learn to make the chemise that goes underneath it. And how to do all your different hemming and seaming. And Bernadette made one. And she has both sway back and scoliosis. So her spine is really wibbly wobbly. And she managed to make an asymmetrical one and pad it out correctly. Noelle made one from scratch and a pair of stays. I quite fancy a pair of stays. I always liked that look of, you know, the black bodice over a white shirt that kind of looks like a waistcoat. That's a black stays. And I always fancied having one of those. That might be what I do rather than a corset. Now you just sit and watch other people making it. See, Katie, you seem like the kind of forage in the woods sort of girl who would actually do well being able to make simple skirts and simple shirts and a simple dress or whatever, and just, you know, put in pockets and everything. And it seems like just very you, to be honest. And especially with the kind of videos you do, being able to make simple oldie worldy style patterns and being your best fluty witchy self just seems like you. Whereas, you know, I got into it because, yeah, goth, duh, trad goth at that. Victorian trad goth, no less. But also I cosplay steampunk and stuff like that as well, so, and witch, duh. So I've got a thing about long skirts and ruffles. I don't have much time to sew anymore. That's the thing though, if you can do very simple shapes, like that pirate shirt, honestly, once you've cut it out, you could sew it together in a matter of an hour. It's the cutting out that would take the time, because everything has to be square and straight. So you'd need a big space to lay everything out and cut it all out. But once you've done that, it is literally is just straight seams. You could sew it together in less than an hour, I'm sure, on a sewing machine. Of course, I'm going to be a masochist and do it by hand, because of course I am. At least the first one. After that, I might start the first one. This is more likely what will happen. I'll start the first one. I'll decide to do it by hand. I'll get about a quarter of the way through and think, God damn it, it's going to be like 9 weeks before I can actually wear this thing. Whip another one up on the machine. Wear it to death. Meanwhile, sewing the second one by hand. That's probably how it will go. I was hoping to actually knock one up on the machine to be able to wear it on Saturday, but I don't think that's going to happen. If you know someone who'll edit your videos for free, yeah, I know. Editing videos is the bane of my life. I hate editing videos. I'm not one of those people who was ever born to edit videos. That's why I like doing live streams. I'd much rather do a live stream and have fewer viewers, I don't care, and have the interaction than do editing videos. Every time I start editing a video, my immediate thought is, this is going to take me like 5 hours. In that time, I could produce another piece of artwork. I could sew a pirate shirt in 5 hours, for God's sake. One day you'll be rich and famous, Katie. You just need that viral video, and then you'll be rich and famous. You'll be able to employ somebody to do your editing for you. They don't have to be elaborate costumes to start with. Yeah, for every person who prefers a beautifully polished video, you know. I mean, I'm not averse to a beautifully polished video myself, but I just as much enjoy live streams. So I would rather stream live than edit videos. I have no interest in editing videos. And putting a vlog together, that's different, because that's just like lots of little bits flung together and trim out the bad bits. Vlogs are easier. They still take a while to do. They still take like 2 hours to do a vlog. But it's just the mechanical editing of the footage. It's not like... There's so much expectation when you do videos for them to be beautifully cinematic, and you've got to have a montage and B-roll and this and that. And I'm an artist. I'm not a film producer. Not interested in making videos. I can understand if you are interested in making videos. You know, somebody like Minnie Small, I mean, she loves making videos and she loves doing art, because for her, doing the videos is a piece of art. So I totally get that. But why have the pressure of putting together videos that you don't actually want to make videos? You're going to try and pull together an easy Viking costume for a video for next week. That could be fun. Although, honestly, by the time you've got a circlet and some plaits and a few bits of fake fur, you're probably sorted. Bit of leather here and there. I like making videos. I don't like editing videos. The actual filming, yeah, absolutely. But editing videos, ugh. Not even vaguely. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day there because we've rambled on for long enough today. I need food. And I'm going to go and finish sewing. Finish sewing this. Look how beautiful my stitching is. Still got it. Still got it. I'm glad I learned to hand sew, because sometimes it's so much easier to just hand sew something than it is to go to all the trouble of getting the machine out. Even though my machine is like there. I could have done this on the machine and had it done in like 10 minutes. But the thing about doing a hem is that it's so simple. That's why I want to sew my pirate shirt by hand, because it's just straight lines. No thinking about it, no difficulty, no hard fabrics or anything. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. Thank you so much for the super chats, those who donated to my coffee fund. Thank you. And rest assured, the super chats do go to the coffee fund. They go straight onto my Costa card. Everything else goes to wherever it needs to be paid. But super chats, they go to the coffee fund, because that's what they're for. Same with coffee. Anything that comes through on coffee goes to the coffee fund. Hems are always better by hand anyway, yeah. Motivating you to work on your project. Excellent, Sarah. Well, are you on Discord? Katie, have you got the link for Discord? Come and join us on Discord. There's lots of us sit around and play Animal Crossing and work on our projects and sew and all sorts of stuff. Come and join us. Bye, guys. See you next week.